Guys, it's me, it's Queen Usset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. All right, guys, so I wanted to talk to you about something. The other day, I was looking through my Facebook feed and I saw this, and I thought it was something that's very important for us all to remember. It says, your diet is not only what you eat, it is what you watch, what you listen to, what you read, and the people you hang around. Pay attention to what you feed your soul, not just your stomach. And when I read that, it clicked for me because so many of my clients are sick. They're sick, they're anxious, they're depressed, and it has something to do with what they're feeding themselves. Now, I think that we all can agree, whether we do it or not, that we should eat right. And when you say right, what do you mean by right? Well, everybody's body is a little bit different. It's a fallacy that we all should be on the same diet. But we all should see a nutritionist and be on some kind of a healthy diet. Even those of us who don't do it know that. Even those of us who had potato chips for breakfast know we wasn't supposed to do that. So we can all agree on that one. But what we don't always realize and what people don't understand is that we ingest things, as this is saying, we feed our soul in other ways. And many of us don't even think about that. And many of us feed ourselves, feed our soul, things that are awful for us. Imagine eating chips, brownies, and tossing it back with vodka every day. Every day. Now, at some point in time, you would probably get very sick. 9 times out of 10, your body would probably be like, what is going on here? And many of us would get sick. And so many of us would realize it's our diet and we would stop. But most people I know who are sick emotionally, who are sick spiritually, and sometimes even mentally, don't realize it's what they're ingesting. And they keep ingesting it. And they never stop, so they just stay sick. If your stomach gets sick, you'll go to the hospital, especially after a while. But people who are sick in other ways don't always do anything about it. And that's the thing. People will address their physical problems sometimes way faster than they'll address their mental, emotional, and spiritual problems. So, what I wanted to say to you guys is look at what you're ingesting, look at what you're putting into your soul. Most of us already know about the physical aspect, but what about what you're watching on television? Some people watch awful stuff. Like, for instance, some people are watching like what we call ratchet TV. Ratchet TV is when these young girls are on TV and they're fighting and screaming, and stealing each other's boyfriend. And those kind of shows. There's a whole bunch of them on TV. I'm not going to name any names, but y'all know them. Y'all flip through them and they screaming, they choking, they fighting, they falling in the pool. They sleeping with each other's boyfriend. And you looking at this like, what is this? When I was a kid, the worst you could watch really on this type tip, like primetime TV, was like, and it wasn't even primetime, it was daytime soap operas. That was like the worst you would come across as far as this level of immaturity, this level of negativity. So people are watching that. Look at what you're ingesting. And then people are acting out these behaviors in their real life, which can't be good. And then they're watching stuff like, for instance, I was talking to somebody once and they were saying to me that they like to watch accidents. These are real life accidents. And they like to, like, people getting mangled, and, this is online. They like looking at, people after they've died, and they took pictures, and all of this is online. And I'm like, this is gross. Why are you watching stuff like that? So things like that. Even certain horror movies make me sick. I can sit through something like The Conjuring, where you don't really see nothing, but I cannot sit through slasher films where they cut people up, and I can't do it. I just can't do it. So part of that, some of the times what you're watching, that violence is desensitizing our society and making people anxious, making people depressed. I mean, it's giving us all kinds of spiritual, emotional, and mental issues. And people just don't realize you got to stop watching that crap. You got to cut that off, Watch things that are more enriching. Watch good YouTube videos, interesting ones that feed you and teach you something, But that's something that people really shouldn't ingest, and they do it all the time. What you listen to. I used to love DMX. I used to listen to DMX all the time. But I noticed that when I listened to DMX, I was more aggressive, And I realized that the things I said to people and the way I acted was much more aggressive after listening to DMX for 6 hours than it was if I listened to love ballads or Lady in Red or things like that, My whole vibration would be off. And I was like, I gotta stop listening to this. As much as I love D, I gotta stop driving around the city growling at people, So I stopped. I stopped listening to hardcore type music of any kind, because I realized its effect on me. Then what you read. Again, people read garbage, some magazines are okay, some are not, but I'm like, I love people who read books. I love people, not to say I don't have friends who don't read, because I do know some people who aren't as big of readers, but people that I have a tendency to talk to the most are the ones who read. They read a book every week or every month, Those are the people I love to talk to, because their mind is constantly being fed new and interesting information, and not just regurgitating the same BS or popular culture. Some people, all they talk about is what's going on with celebrities. And I'm just like, oh my God, are you serious? And they talk about these people like they're their friends, like they know them, And I'm just like, I don't care. I don't care what these people are doing, And I notice that those usually are people who don't read. And the people that you hang around. I think out of all of them, this is probably the one that I see the most destroying people. I have some clients who are anxious. I have some who are really depressed. And I'm very clear that it's because of who they choose to have in their life. And sometimes it's their lover, which is the worst. That's the worst one, because it's harder to get them to admit it to themselves and really see it. And sometimes it's their family members. Oftentimes it's family members. And they just let them abuse them because they're related. And then sometimes it's the friends or the people that they've chosen to be friends with over the years. I'll give you a perfect example from me. I had a Facebook friend that was a young lady that lived in my neighborhood growing up. I didn't like her then. I'm not fond of her now. But I left her on my Facebook page because I didn't want to, people to think I was, trying to be shady. Like, oh, I'm better than her or something like that. And I didn't want people to feel that way, because people, when you live in a neighborhood and you move out of your neighborhood and you start going to college and traveling the world and doing stuff, people start talking about you like a dog. Like, you think you shit, you think you cute, you this, you that. And I didn't want people to feel like, I moved up out of the ghetto, so I ain't real now. I didn't want them to feel that way. And I didn't want to feel that way, because I respect where I came from, and I love my humble beginnings, But I only kept certain people on my Facebook page because of that. I never really liked them. So after a while, I noticed that their energy, their posts, That kind of stuff, I just wasn't feeling it. But I was still leaving them on the page because I didn't want to seem fake. I didn't want to seem like I wasn't still Erica from the block. You know what I'm saying? I did not want to be like I was Hollywood, I don't like that persona. So I left them on my page. And finally, after years, I took all of them off. All the ones that I didn't really like in the first place, I just took them off. And I finally said to myself, that's not making you look any better because you leave them on your Facebook page. If people think you Hollywood, they think you Hollywood anyway. And you doing that is not going to change anything. The same way allowing your family to abuse you because they're family is not going to help you or change anything. Many of my clients who are depressed or anxious, if they remove certain people from their lives, would no longer be depressed or anxious. I saw a quote once that said, many people go to therapy to deal with the people in their life who won't go to therapy. And I think that's true for a lot of people. So also, you gotta look at who you're hanging around. And I don't care if they're family, if they're friends, if you've known them for a million years, if their vibration is not good for you, if it does not match, if it doesn't serve you, if it's not a positive influence on you, that's people that you need to cut loose. And I don't care how many of them it is. I don't care how long you've known them. I don't care. Get rid of them and find yourself, or should I say, surround yourself with people who are more positive and who are more beneficial, people who can help you go higher, not people who are constantly pulling you down in the gutter. You see? So I wanted you guys to think about that because I have so many clients that I know would be so much happier if they thought about and did these things. And of course, I've told them these things, and some of them do it, some of them try, a lot of them don't. Because like I said before, the people is what really gets them. And then like when it comes to like popular culture, they don't want to not be in the know. So they don't want to not listen to the latest rap album. Everybody's going to be talking about it. But you don't have to do what everybody else is doing and talk about what everybody else is talking about. You get to ingest what is good for you. That's the whole purpose. That's the whole point. The same way that every diet isn't for everybody, everything isn't for everybody. Everything you watch, everything you listen to, everything you read, all those people, some of that just isn't for you. And that's okay. All right? Okay, guys, time for me to get going. So if you would like to get a reading done, please email me and I'll give you an appointment. If you want to contact me, all my information will be underneath this video. If you want to be one of my patrons on Patreon, that will be underneath this video. Okay, guys? And don't forget to come back soon because I have a lot more to say. And don't forget that we're all going to meet here on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern for our 6th live discussion on the book Being Me, Loving You by Marshall Rosenberg. Okay, guys? See you later.